Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at 10 nurses you won't believe exist. We're going to be looking at some of the best, worst, and the sexiest nurses. Some things on this list are seriously crazy. I didn't even believe them at first, but I can assure you guys they're all real. Please drop a like if you guys enjoy. Let's aim for 2,000 likes on this video because it really does help me out. So coming in at number 10, we have Sandie Sumalpong. So we're starting off this list with a bad nurse. Now he's a 26-year-old male nurse from California, and he actually molested children. So that basically makes him a paedophile nurse. He actually molested one of his victims 4 different times. When he was first caught, he lied and said he didn't do it, but he later admitted it. And he also admitted to doing the same to many other kids. He's now in custody and waiting for a sentence. I assume he's going to be in prison for a long time, maybe even life. And to be honest, I know it sounds harsh, but he deserves it. I mean, nurses are supposed to help people, and raping them is doing the exact opposite. It's bad enough they're in hospital already, they probably have bills and a lot of stress, and to sexually assault them just does not help at all. So coming up next is Daniela Poggiali. Now this is another bad nurse. I promise guys, the next one will be good. But anyway, she's a 42-year-old Italian nurse, and she was looking after a patient called Rosa Calderoni. But one night, all of a sudden, Rosa died of a potassium overdose. And no, she hadn't been eating loads of bananas. In fact, a police investigation found out that Daniela had injected it into her. Daniela admitted to doing it, and she said she did it because she was annoying. They later found out she did the same thing to 38 other patients. And when she was asked the reason for killing all of these people, she just said they were annoying. Her colleague described her as a cold person but eager to work. But in my opinion, she's just pure evil. And if you guys think I'm being harsh or don't believe me, here's a photo of her posing next to a dead woman's body. Now I don't know what kind of punishment or sentence she got, but whatever she got, it's not going to be bad enough. So coming up next is a nurse named Cyre. Now she is arguably the world's sexiest nurse. See, I told you guys it would be a good one. So this nurse is unofficially the sexiest nurse in the world as crowned by the internet. And if you guys don't believe me, she has almost 400,000 Instagram followers. She's based in New York and works as a nurse there part-time. She takes sexy but at the same time respectable photos of herself, her travels, and even though food photos are kinda lame, her food. She's actually really young and is still at university, studying medicine at New York University. Her photos get over 10,000 likes, which means she could be an Instagram model or just a regular model if she wanted to and make way more money. And she's had a lot of offers from companies asking her to do this, but she's chose not to. She wants to keep studying her passion, which is helping people. Wow, she's hot and kind-hearted. Kinda like someone else I know.
I'm not fucking gay, okay?
So next up on this list is Petrel. So in 2016, this 35-year-old male nurse was seen by his assistant holding up a 17-year-old girl's hospital gown and taking naked photos of her on his phone while she was unconscious. Obviously, the assistant quickly ran and made a criminal complaint, but by that time the crime had already been committed and it was a little bit too late. The girl was being treated for alcohol poisoning and thankfully she survived that, but it must have been really fucked up to wake up and hear you basically got sexually assaulted when you were unconscious. Even worse is that he is, or at least was, a husband and a dad of 4 kids. And because that girl was 17, it's not just sexual assault but also pedophilia. He currently has a bond set at $15,000 and will likely serve a lot of jail time. He is seriously stupid to throw his life away like that. I mean, he already had a wife, kids, and even a really good job. Okay, so next up is a woman called Hadassah Peri. Now this story is so crazy it almost seems fake, but I assure you guys it's totally real. So a nurse called Hadassah Peri was looking after Hugette Clark, who happened to be one of the wealthiest women in the world. She was rich because she inherited $600 million when her parents died in 1925. Anyway, the nurse and Hugette Clark had little in common, but would spend up to 12 hours a day with each other, going on walks, talking, playing cards, and watching Hugette Clark's favourite, the Smurfs. And eventually after 12 years they became best friends. Hugette then died when she was 104 and left Hadassah almost $400 million. And she'd already given Hadassah a bunch of gifts over the years, including $18 million. Now I know it's sad that Hugette died, but it's awesome for Hadassah because she's a Filipino mum from a poor background and now she's a multi-millionaire. So yeah, Hugette basically made her the richest nurse to ever live. Next up is Nanic Aidasani. Now this one is a little bit darker than the one before. He was actually arrested in 2014 for rape. He'd raped a 64-year-old woman who was one of his patients. Another staff member saw this and reported him immediately. And what's even more fucked up about this is that the patient had dementia and couldn't talk. I'm just glad another member of staff saw it so that justice could be served. And he deserves so much prison time for this because it's so disrespectful to abuse a senior citizen in any way, especially like this. Unfortunately, because his victim has dementia, it's really hard to get information out of her, meaning he might not actually get the maximum sentence because of lack of evidence. I just think it's so sad that someone would take advantage of someone like that. Next up is Mary Wiley. So in 2015, this 44-year-old nurse was caught stealing her patient's medication, and she worked in a mental health facility, so people really needed those pills. She said she stole the pills because it helped with her apparent ADHD, but many people think she took them to make money or even get high herself. And it's actually illegal to have those drugs without a prescription. So she was not only charged with stealing, but also with illegal drug use. She didn't actually end up going to jail. Instead, she went to a drug abusers clinic and was fined, and hopefully fired too. Just imagine the people freaking out and having all kinds of bad things happen to them because someone stole their pills. Some people in that facility even suffer from depression and may have suicidal thoughts, so it's really selfish and careless to steal the pills for your own gain. Next up is Florence Rigney. Now this is one of the nicer ones in this list. She is the world's oldest nurse at 90 years old. She celebrated her 90th at the hospital she works at with her colleagues. She started work in that same hospital as a nurse when she was 70 years ago. She was born in 1925, meaning she's older than a lot of your guys' grandparents. Now this isn't as crazy as some of the ones in this list, but I found it very nice and interesting. Here's a really nice video I found of her celebrating her 90th birthday. I suggest you guys watch it because it's very heartwarming.
We love you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Next up is Chrispiniana Domingo. In 2016, this 51-year-old nurse was held on $300,000 bail after attacking an 8-month-old boy. The way she attacked him was that she hit him 3 times in the head to try and stop him from crying. And you may think that doesn't sound too bad, but when his parents found him, he couldn't move his left arm. And an x-ray later found out that he'd been fractured where he'd been hit. She may have wanted him to be quiet, but as a nurse, you should know how fragile an 8-month-old is. It took over a month for justice to be served because they thought the baby might have somehow injured itself by accident. But a scientific investigation proved he couldn't have hurt himself. Even if she didn't mean for it to be that bad, it's still pretty stupid to hit a baby. The last nurse on this list is called Janai Hernandez. She actually stole from one of her patients. Her patient was called Helen Smith and she suffered from dementia, meaning she couldn't remember anything. She stole her credit card and made a few purchases at a local pharmacy. And Janai was only caught when CCTV footage of her linked up with the spending history of the credit card. And she was probably going to buy more stuff with the card, but she was caught pretty soon after her first shop. She was also found to have stolen the personal IDs of 20 other patients over her years of work who are now all dead. It's so messed up and unthinkable even to steal from someone who's sick, let alone someone who's actually dead. But this nurse thought it and did it. And that wraps up this list. Check out the poll in the top right corner and you guys can vote for the nurse that surprised you guys the most. For me, I think it was a millionaire nurse, just because that is so lucky. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe.